people are doing. So, the Z Flip 5. Well, I've been using this for a while now, and my experience has... I'll just give you an overview. It has been a little hit and miss. I'm not gonna get too deep into it because this is, something to do with the software, not the review itself. That I'm gonna make it soon enough. But anyways, the software on this thing, it's very good. I can tell you that much right now. Like, this is probably one of the most refined software experiences that you can get when it comes to a flipping or folding device. But when I first started using this device, I would say around the first 2 to 3 days, I had certain issues. Like, I thought they had something to do with getting used to using a flip phone and stuff like that. Something to do with the fingerprint scanner and whatnot. So that's precisely what I'm going to get into. And there are some very simple ways to troubleshoot them. And it's definitely something you should know if you're even thinking about buying this phone, because it's going to make your experience so much smoother, your life so much bloody easier. So let's just get into it. So one of the first things that you want to do is obviously enroll your fingerprint. And when you do that, I believe the default option is that it'll always have it turned on. Essentially, you touch the fingerprint scanner or you touch the power button and it's going to try to recognize the fingerprint. Now that can be a little problematic because in most other devices, it's on the screen, so accidental touches don't happen quite as much. But when you're trying to hold the phone, when you're trying to take it out of your pocket or anything like that, you're gonna have issues. And man, it was annoying as hell because I believe after like 5 or so attempts, and if you get it wrong, you're gonna have to type in your code, which happened to me constantly. I kept thinking like, yeah, maybe I need to like pick it up in a different way and stuff like that. I had to get used to it, but you really don't. You basically have to go to the settings, get your biometrics, click on fingerprint, type in your code or whatever, and then fingerprint always on. Now initially I turned this to always off. Essentially that meant that every time I wanted to unlock the device, I would have to press it. As in press the power button. That would be the only way to activate the fingerprint scanner and allow it to scan the fingerprint. That essentially solved 80% of my problem. The other 20% was that it was a little cumbersome sometimes, especially when I'm like using my phone opened up. I would have to press the power button every time I wanted to unlock it. Not the biggest deal in the world, but you actually get the option to just have the fingerprint scanner always active when it's on the main screen. Essentially when you fold it out, now the fingerprint scanner just turns itself on. Essentially it just makes any issues with the fingerprint scanner null and void. It sounds like a very simple thing. It sounds like I'm spending time on something that might be irrelevant. It's not. It's absolutely not, believe me. But that's not all for the fingerprint scanner. It looked like it was, but it's not. Because there's another thing you really need to know. Essentially, when you're enrolling a fingerprint scanner for the first time, you're doing it when it's unfolded. You're probably going to use the thumb because that's just naturally what you're going to use to unlock. Apparently, the fingerprint scanner just somehow isn't smart enough to understand that when it's folded in and the fingerprint scanner reverses orientation, it stops recognizing your fingerprint in the upright position. The logical thing to do would be to just enroll your fingerprint in the opposite direction. That's the key here. You need to enroll it first upright and then in the opposite direction. That way you can get perfect unlocks every time. You don't have to have any issues. You're not going to feel like the fingerprint scanner isn't responsive or accurate enough. Nothing like that. One final little tip. Yeah, I know I'm dragging this fingerprint scanner out a lot, but that's essentially the most important thing here. It's the most different thing that you're going to find against almost any other slab type flagship device that you can buy. Essentially, when you keep your phone on a desk, it's going to be hard for you to unlock it with your thumb without picking it up. If you want to unlock it without doing anything, just, touch it and it'll unlock, or tap the power button. Well, you can do that with your index finger. So keep one index fingerprint enrolled so that you can unlock it as such. And that's the way to do it. That's the way to crack the fingerprint scanner situation on this phone. It's a little interesting, it's a little tedious, I guess some would say, but as long as the problem can be solved, in my opinion, it's fine. Do these things and you're not gonna have any issues with the fingerprint. So that's it for the fingerprint scanner, for real this time. Now let's talk about calls and exactly how you receive them or you end them. Initially, I had just expected that by default, when you close your phone, that would decline the call. That doesn't happen. which felt very odd to me. It felt like something that should be such an obvious feature, because if you've seen the movie The Departed, you'd know that it's one of the most satisfying things. Like when you're on a call and then you're done and then you just shut it down. You need to turn the feature on. Now, initially, I couldn't even find the setting because it's in such a ridiculous location. You need to go to call settings and then you need to go to file, which is like, why is it called file? It makes no bloody sense. It's such an awkward name for these settings. Here, you can turn on open to pick it up. That just basically solves this entire issue right here. You can open to pick it up and you can close it to end the call. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe end the call is available as such, but the picking up by opening it is not. But whatever the case, you can do it with this. And it's an oddly hidden setting that should have been turned on from the first place. But it's not. So with that done, let's talk about the cover display. Well, the cover display is very, very customizable, which is an amazing thing in my opinion. The fact that they let us use these live wallpapers and all that jazz. To be honest, there is one little thing that I would like a little bit more customization in. But anyways, for the most part, you get a lot of things you can do. You can have apps open on this, and the default way of doing it is to just go into your settings and then turn it on. But what I noticed is obviously that most apps that you have, they are pretty much unavailable for the cover display. You can circumnavigate that, however, with Good Lock. And Good Lock is really where it's all at, especially for this phone and just using the cover screen in a productive fashion. Because using Good Lock, you can just open the case. You can have any app you want. Not all of them are gonna work properly. Hell, most of them might not end up working properly. But like I believe WhatsApp is one of the apps that you cannot have on the cover screen. You can have messages, but you cannot have WhatsApp. For me, that was very inconvenient until I used Good Lock. Another app for me is YouTube Studio that I use a lot, naturally. And I really wanted it on the cover display, but I couldn't get it normally. So I had to use Good Lock, and it actually works perfectly. So I'm not sure why it's not enabled by default, or you cannot enable it by default. But whatever the case, use Good Lock for this, because it just makes it so much easier to have a really good and productive cover screen as such. And finally, one last thing in the customization sector. This is actually something you can do on basically every One UI enabled device, every Samsung flagship as such. You can choose your color palette in the themes part of the settings. I just thought I should mention it because it's definitely something that I wanted to do the moment I went to it. And it can make things look really nice on your phone. That's basically all I'm saying. Now, I did mention that there was one place where I wanted a little bit more customizability, a few more options. It's probably something that needs to be updated. I'm talking about the clock face app. But anyways, with that said, I think as a whole, the Z Flip 5 has a really nice software situation going on. I haven't had any serious bugs or anything, it just works really well altogether. There is one thing that just felt pointless to me. It works properly, but it just felt pointless. I'm talking about the awkward little DeX mode that you get. I mean, it's fine that they included it, but it seems like such an odd thing to give us. Like, half of the screen becomes a touchpad. It works really well. Once again, from a functionality standpoint, it's good. There are no issues as such, but the problem that I have is that I just don't see myself using it ever, because it's just not something that you think about when you're using a display like this. Why would you want just half of your display to be properly usable and the other half to be a touchpad when you can just use your fingers and scroll around, do your things normally? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. There could be a case like that, but I tried to fit it into my use cases, but it just didn't happen. Anyways, with that said, I've been rambling long enough for this. I do hope I didn't ramble way too long for that fingerprint situation, but hey, there were a ton of things to cover, in my defense. Anyways, with that said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, found this helpful, because that's the whole point of this one actually. But yeah, I'll be seeing you guys later with many more to come. Cheers.